like to call this meeting to order by starting with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the prayer. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, please stay standing. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of our community. Amen. Amen. Jan, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Brandon Elmore.
Present.
Bob Leahy.
Here.
Nathan Coughlin.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Here.
Peter Fritz.
Here.
I would like to propose the consent agenda to see if anybody has any alterations, or I would entertain a motion.
I will move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Alright, do we need all in favor on that?
Yeah. all
Okay.
favors, yeah.
If you're all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
If abstained, alright. Presenters on the agenda, I believe it is not on there, but are you on the, under new business?
It's under the
He's
list.
Okay,
under
okay.
new business, yeah.
Perfect. Are you, do you need?
I'm just a visitor, I've got something I want to bring forth at the end, so
Perfect.
that'll be fun.
Alright, well, if we could, kind of give each department heads up. Mr. Mayor, I believe, has some things he will talk about later, but he won't be here till about maybe 6:30. Was running a little late this afternoon for his first job. So, if we could start with the department heads. Steve? Anything?
Really, the only thing discussed today at the board of, the department heads, I don't think anybody had anything of any significance, and the next change order 10 is really the only thing that was discussed at the Board of Works. So,
Okay.
there's not much for conversation.
Alright, we will address that down there under new business. How about we start with, clerk treasurer.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything.
Okay. And then we'll go to council members. Let's start down there with Brandon.
I've got nothing to bring up today.
Bob Leahy.
The area planning commission met last Wednesday night, and we approved the resolution 2022-R-02, which is the residential housing plan for the Governor Gray housing addition. And then also there was approval on the commercial and industrial sign code. And I provided a copy for most of you, and if you have any questions, please contact Randy Abel. And not me. Basically, though, it seemed like that any existing signs are pretty much grandfathered in as far as electronic signs or commercial and industrial signs, and but new signs will require permit and or a hearing if needed.
Okay.
And I think that's all I had.
We did discuss this as multiple pages long, and it sounds like we will be having to vote on this as a council in the near future, so
Yes.
that is not 100% finished, but that makes people aware of it.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So it's
Can you please
in
state your
effect,
name and
Bill Richmond,
thank you.
it's in effect of the meeting, I mean, it's not like some things require 2 or 3 votes.
No,
So,
because I think there were some people waiting for approval based on the vote, so we ended up voting on it.
okay, because
Last Wednesday night.
I knew the city at one point had talked about getting a sign to replace that movable sign. I was gonna say, if you guys did, this would be the time to do it before it took effect, but it sounds like it already took effect. That's a year or so ago.
Which sign, the one right out here on the
Yeah,
corner?
the one that,
Oh, the scrolling one down in front of the fire, police and fire?
oh, no, I forgot about that.
Oh.
No, there's one out here that you guys, that someone changes things on.
Oh,
Someone was saying
yeah.
that they might have an electronic sign now.
I don't
That was
think,
quite some time ago.
I think that's gonna stay based on what some of the potential changes are gonna be, and it may be more useful by then, so.
Right.
I just, that,
Let's see, myself, I have nothing to share other than the gavel with the mayor.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You were awfully eager to hand that off.
I kinda like how Chad kinda snuck in.
Doing great. Keep going.
I guess,
Well,
am I allowed to do that, Jen? I don't know if
Yeah.
that breaks over the rules or. Alright, good.
I don't think we have for any time, all the time I've been here,
Yeah.
but you're allowed.
Alright.
I guess I'm up, so,
Yep.
as Steve said, one of the primary things at Board of Works was the wastewater plant changeover orders that we'll discuss. But, Brad did share one thing that they identified, the bulk of the, potholes, if you will, around town, from the freeze and thaw, recent weather, and plans are in place to address that pretty shortly. They're gonna do some cold patch work, and then, as soon as the weather permits, he's gonna try to have the total patcher system from the county as soon as they can possibly get it, and do more permanent repairs on those, but they're gonna be attacking those pretty quickly, so I know people are always concerned about that after the winter, so
Yes, definitely.
that's all I've got.
As for me, nothing to report.
Well, my apologies for being late. From my standpoint, the things I have to cover will be covered in new business, so. Oh,
I'm here.
John, super, yeah, you're behind the camera. Do you want to step out in front of the camera?
I'll just do this.
Okay.
And then, there's actually a decent amount of stuff that we'd like to report. We have, I guess the first thing is we had a conference with other schools in Randolph County that the Randolph County United's calling the Next Gen Conferences, which has a leadership of each student body represented to kind of discuss what each school is doing and how each school can improve. We talked about mainly our DECA program and our K.I.S.S programs and our different programs that we have put in place, like the Bugs Challenge. Did you happen to share that the last meeting, the Bugs Challenge?
Yes.
Okay. Then yeah.
About the grades going up.
Yes, exactly. And we were met with a lot of questions and a lot of praise for what we have done with like our Apache and TP programs, which is another thing that I'd like to bring up is our DECA program, because this upcoming weekend and a weekend in April, we are going to be competing at state and national levels. The state is going to be represented by 10 students, myself included in both the state and national teams, but the national team is not finalized just yet. After state conferences, if any members happen to move on again, then they will be joining us going down to Georgia to compete against. Oh, I guess it's not really just nationals, it's international, it's like the whole, it's a little bit of everybody. And then the next is our sports that we have going on. We currently, our last winter sports team, the boys basketball, is going to have their sectional first rounds tomorrow at Blue River against Blue River. Unfortunately, we did lose to them earlier on the season. Hopefully we can pull it out and then play Union in the second round. And then we have the track team is going to be starting up their first race next weekend. They're originally going to have the first race this upcoming weekend, but unfortunately because of cancellations with school, we were unable to have enough kids to participate. And then we have our spring sports are coming up. Our baseball, softball, and golf team are all starting in 2 weeks. So that's pretty exciting. And then I guess the last thing is just the school musical, which is coming up this upcoming weekend, the 11th and the 12th. And that's everything, really.
Great job, man. That's awesome. And congrats on the DECA, too.
Oh, thank you very much.
Wonderful. Steve, anything
Nope.
later?
Later.
Well, in fact, probably the very next one, right? Old business, UTV purchase.
Well, yep, absolutely. The UTV purchase, what I would like to do, as we discussed at the last meeting, I think our best option is to buy the PTO-driven Kubota unit. There was conversation with Randolph Eastern Schools about them acquiring a like or similar unit to that. My last conversation with Mr. Black indicated that they probably needed a little bit more time to get to the next board meeting. So what I would like to ask is that the council gives permission for us to place the order when the timing is right, so that we don't have to keep running this thing into the ground, so.
Any questions? I'd entertain a motion for approval.
I move that we approve the purchase of the Kubota PTO UTV.
Can I ask a clarification question first?
Sure can.
There's two different ones here.
One is hydraulic and one is PTO driven.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna clarify. The first one is the PTO?
The first one, well, I don't know which way you stapled them together. The 42,512.06 before discount is the PTO
Oh.
driven.
Got the snow blower.
Yeah.
37,941.96 is the hydraulic driven.
Are we getting them both, or
No, just the PTO is what I would recommend.
just the 42,000 one?
We do have a first on the floor, but don't want to rush if there's any other questions.
Whose long-term budget will this maintenance be coming out of?
It's split up, is it not?
It's going to be split up between 6 of the departments. It'll just be equally split up for the purchase as far as maintenance and upkeep. It'll probably, just for space sake, it'll probably most of the time be housed at the fire department. So as far as maintenance and upkeep services, things like that, my guys will probably just take care of it with AF orders.
Okay.
One thing that I looked at a little bit and researched on that, and the salt spreader really option as it's optioned on here, and I probably should have gotten a chance to talk to you about this, is that it really is a slide-in unit that's pretty large and pretty heavy. And one of my concerns is that once that's in there, if it's, and there's no room to carry any other salt on the machine besides in the box. So if you're gonna use this, you're gonna load the box. And you're gonna have 500 pounds of salt in the box, because you can't carry it anyplace else on it. So now you get that all loaded up, and then a emergency situation comes up where you've gotta use this for a rescue, which is what our intended purpose was. Salt box out of there, and that concerns me a bit as far as capability to do that. And where one of the things I looked at there is that would you be better served to go with one of the, for lack of a better word, tailgate type spreaders. It's one of the lighter spreaders that you don't hold as much, but you can put bags of salt in the bed now because it's not in the bed.
That's a legitimate conversation. We can kind of talk that through as we're waiting. If you guys like, I'm happy to pull that spreader off until we make a more permanent decision on that. We can just remove that from the quote.
I think that will knock a significant amount of cost out of it, because those spreaders are, and I realize that there's a little bit of a trade-off, but when you're just doing sidewalks and so forth, it's probably not a real oppressive trade-off either. But it's going to allow one or two people to by hand remove that. Otherwise, you're going to have a situation where it's going to take equipment to remove that spreader.
Yeah.
'Cause even I don't even know if you could, the empty spreader, I'm not sure if 2 guys could lift it off of there or not. I don't know what I can't remember what it weighs.
In conversation, they thought so, that it could be done using manpower. It wouldn't take any type of lifting equipment or anything like that. My thought process would be that we suspend all the equipment from the ceiling and just hoist them up and keep them out of the way when they weren't in use anyway. But regardless, I'm perfectly content pulling that off and doing a little bit more research on that process.
Do we need a re-motion?
Probably not.
Yeah, I say you're just seeking approval
I
for the
just,
actual
I,
unit
I
itself.
just
and not the-
once I get confirmation from the school, I
Right.
wanna be able to call them and just get the thing on order, cause we're looking at an extended lead time on getting
Yeah,
it.
so yeah, your motion will suffice.
I'll second the motion.
We have a first and a second. Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Landry.
Yes.
Nathan Conklin,
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Peter Frias.
Yes.
All right, new business. Let's see if this, does it look like it's ready to go?
Video?
Yeah.
Probably with the password.
Yeah, sounds like it was a password. And thanks to Tito once again for, usually you point out that you like my ties, I didn't realize it was behind me. So that's what I thought you were saying, is I like that. You said that, so thank you so much. A little disjointed running behind from, coming back from Marion. Yeah, once you have it pulled up, just go ahead and hit play. What you're about to see on the screen is, and this is pertaining to Vision Corner and the ARP allocations. What you're about to see is the video that was played at the Ready presentation over in Muncie, where the 8-county conglomerate met and where they reviewed the projects again. And Ready, as you know, scored the highest of all the 140 projects submitted amongst the 8 counties. And there we go.
Thank you for allowing this video to assist CN in covering many issues in a very few minutes. I'm honored to narrate on behalf of Mayor Spence and Superintendent Black. Vision Corner is both centerpiece and symbol of Union City revitalization that will include lifestyle, culture, and tourism-worthy history. Vision Corner is real and playing actively. Most external work is done, and major internal construction is underway. Most importantly, Vision Corner is proud to be serving now as part of a high-impact collaboration of East Central Indiana Game Changers. Here's our self-evaluation of status versus ready criteria, beginning with ARPA guidelines that we have followed carefully. Because of our head start with both plans and progress, feasibility is not an issue. Alignment is strong with state and regional goals. We are in the mainstream of career-focused education and workforce readiness. Our entrepreneurial focus addresses both job creation and new economic development. We are working on a program that addresses the brain drain issue by encouraging residents to build careers near home. And active regional collaboration is a fundamental element of our vision. We are developing original content and collaborating with universities to develop shareable content region-wide. We are doing cutting-edge work in making the internet a vehicle for business startup and residency decisions within the region. We will offer startup assistance to communities that wish to launch some or all of the Vision Corner concept, and we will lever our Gateway to Ohio status to promote region-wide access to that marketplace. Our head start and aggressive fundraising have put us in easy reach of leverage requirements. Our economic impact begins with the core truth that more educated employees are more efficient employees who earn more and contribute more. Our focus is on emerging technologies and subjects to learn about and tools to apply in the marketplace of the future. Internet-based entrepreneurship is a major example, as is the opportunity to attract big city residents who can work remotely while securing a small-town lifestyle. Union City has long hands-on experience in diversity issues, and we are effective in ways that can be shared related to language, culture, and tailored education. We are constantly sensitive to equity issues, but this Ready plan has no specific equity module. we are confident that execution of our program will result in meaningful outcomes. But we believe READY's core goals are focused on the future, where by definition there are no established guidelines to assure success. However, a primary power of collaboration is collective effort to share wisdom and to shape the future together. Finally, we'd like to emphasize the extent to which Vision Corner is a living, breathing force, highly active in the key areas of READY focus. This is the John Jay Center, an inspiration as proof of possibilities, and a collaboration partner in development of both hard and soft skills and career-focused education. This Letterman Center photo shows the fruits of a formal Ball State partnership in which Ball State students actively interact with our K.I.S.S students, with operations soon to be moved to Vision Corner. With Vision Corner leadership and Randolph County United CEO C.Ann Bales discussing avenues for utilizing the Vision Corner facility. These discussions included the Gateway to Ohio possibilities. This is the Vision Corner team doing corporate development work, hosting the newly installed workforce leadership team that is engineering a turnaround in their Union City plant. And this is the Vision Corner team conducting hands-on culture-shaping training with the entire workforce employee group. This shows part of our content development and advisory board for small business and entrepreneurship training at Vision Corner. Plans include collaboration with Randolph County United and then to the East Central region. So thank you for this opportunity. We look forward to being a dynamic part of major progress in East Central Indiana.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, she had 7 minutes to present, so the video was 5 minutes and like 20 seconds. So that's why you got a top-line view of the core of Vision Corner. Like the Ivy Tech, for example, what that's done is, like when I reached out to the heads of Workhorse and Frank Miller and reached out to Rob, you know, leader of our area industry, I asked them, okay, where are our missing needs in terms of your workforce currently and folks coming in that you look to hire? What are some of the areas of focus that we need to bone up on in terms of making a stronger offering from our citizens? And they sent me, you know, I gave them possible curriculum, but they sent me immediately their top 5 to 6 subjects that, hey, we need help with these areas. Bam, 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 bam. And that in turn went right back to Ivy Tech. Is there someone here? Sorry. Okay. I see eyes just keep going down that way.
Big trip.
Okay. I don't know what it's like to be a teacher. Everybody's paying attention. But yeah, we've got Ivy Tech, sorry, now has that curriculum, and they're basically forming something that we can have in-house here. Oh, sorry. That they, I always hit your dad. Sorry. that they can provide in a basically a delivery manner in the back of the first floor and the second floor over here at Vision Corner. So in other words, and here's what's cool about teaming with Ivy Tech, and Ball State's a part of this too, as you know, with the K.I.S.S program. Ivy Tech is utilizing screen technology where they have 2 large screens up in the front of the room, and then they've got a large screen in the back of the room. And basically they'll have an instructor that people from any remote location can see the instructor and the full classroom. Yes. And then that's let me see how. Okay, so everybody in the classroom gets to see everybody online on one screen, okay? And then the people online get to see the whole classroom. So because we've got dueling TVs. And then the other screen is an actual like live chalkboard. It's so cool. It's like an interactive screen like you'd have on a computer. You know, the professor can pull things up and then write on the screen, write their notes on the screen, and then you can, as a student, you can even like screenshot the screen. So note-taking just got exponentially easier. But what it does, it facilitates basically a never-ending possibility of curriculum delivery from any point at Ivy Tech or here. So they can send a professor here, or they can have the professor there, and our students can be here, or they can be remote. They can be both. Ivy Tech likes to see students together because they've still found that collaboration is enhanced when a body comes together in person. So that will always be the number one focus. But the beauty of it is, God forbid if we have another COVID outbreak, we're already set up to where we can continue. What this is designed to is to help assisting current industry and make our employee base more promotable, to help them shore up missing skill sets that they need to either strengthen or develop. And it also helps future generation, future citizens, or outgoing graduates, in terms of, again, developing those core strengths that our local industry needs, so that their needs are met, so that they have a stronger workforce, so that they are more efficient, so that they are more productive, and then they turn a better profit, in which turns they invest more in the community, and that's the goal. So, yes.
One quick addition to that: because of the pandemic, this technology is a proven system of generating results. The data's there. They can prove that this type of teaching, this type of remote learning, these types of electronic components for the classroom are knocking it out of the ballpark. The data's there.
And so what's really cool about this too is, see, Ivy Tech needs, they're wanting to get a staff. So they see us as a logical conduit because we're right on the state line, and so they see us as a gateway into bigger and greener pastures for them. So, and they see a need here too. And they also brought up, you saw the equity section on the material. One of the things that really turned them on is Aaron was talking about, or Superintendent Black was talking about, one of the needs we have is serving our Hispanic population, and that really turned their ears down to Ivy Tech because they're looking to meet that population need on a greater level. And so there's also a symbiosis there, or lack of a better term. There's definitely an opportunity there, to come together. And so there's just, and this is in addition, obviously, to K.I.S.S and Apache and small business incubator space. I know Bill has been in contact with Owen Griffith's daughter. I point to daughter and her husband. They work up in Chicago. They're looking for space. So there's just a lot of avenues that's come out of this project that I think, because of the various offerings that it has, it's made it very appealing to the people that have been judging, these different projects being brought to the region. So that being said, the ARP allocation, $400,000 is what we've applied for through Ready. So it's a 4-to-1 match, as you know. So we need to raise 1.6 to get the 4. We have, we've already, of course, garnered 250 from the county. We've garnered over nearly 200,000 from redevelopment, or rural development already, and we're applied for another 348,000 from rural development, and then we got 20,000 from community foundation, and then we're doing a fund drive that actually starts Wednesday night with Mr. Black, Superintendent Black, and myself meeting with an individual. We're starting a private donation drive to raise $341,000 to help meet the private-public partnership. And then combined with our allocation of $250,000 from ARP, if you add all the math up, and I might be missing a figure there or two, but we've got it on our spreadsheet where the $400,000 brings us even to $2 million. And so that would more than complete the bottom and top floor, put in the elevator shaft to gain accessibility to the second floor. And then the school is already out of their budget, they've allocated in their budget line items for the equipment inside. And so, yeah, so the pieces are coming together. This is still, I mean, we are learning through this day by day as we go through this. Keep in mind, I mean, because we're still developing curriculum, for example, for the industry. So I mean, all this is very fluid, but it's very much happening. And the cool thing is, if one thing you couldn't see the fine print in there, they gave the guidelines. A lot of these ready projects, it's like, okay, what's your timeline? And they were hoping that project's done by 2025, 2026, something of that. That was the cutoff thereabouts. We're looking to have class starting this fall, and Mr. Black, Superintendent Black, has already committed space in the school to get them started. He's made space, just space available, but it's not a long-term viable option for them to get us into their January 1st, where we would have the first floor be completed. And then the second floor, Sienna stated that her hope is that we could have the second floor done earlier, because they would like to see the second floor done very quickly in 2023, because they mentioned that this is the kind of ribbon cutting ceremony the governor would like to attend, because it would be a feather in his cap because of what this project addresses in terms of workforce development, equality, downtown revitalization, collaboration with local school. I mean, it checks all the boxes, if you will. So because of that, they're really trying to put the gas, or put the pedal to the floor, if you will, on us, and that's fine. If they give us the money, we can do that. So anyway, I apologize. That's a long-winded response to lead to the next part of this, which is the ARP allocation. But what I'd like tonight for you guys to vote on, or to motion, would be the allocation of $250,000 from our ARP funds, which I've put out there publicly to you guys before what we were hoping to allocate toward this. Of this over $790,000 that we were allocated from ARP, I think total, or $789 or whatever that figure is. Like to donate or dedicate $250 that, because again, we are leveraging these dollars, which is ideal. Hopefully you use your money to make more money or bring more money in. So I'll shut up now. Sorry.
So this would be like Union City's resources that help us leverage to get grant funding?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Because you have to have, it's a 4-for-1, so you have to have the 1.6 to get the 400,000. There's no two ways about that. And that's not, in the world of grants, that's not a very, I'm not dissing Ready at all. I'm not, because I don't, it's on public record, but it's not the most, it wouldn't be the most appealing grant you would go after by far in the grant world. Usually grants generally are at least 50-50. A lot of the ones we go after are 70-30 or 80-20 especially. 90-10 is the plum one, Whereas what that means is, if the grant entity grants you $90, you got to come up with 10 as a match on, for math's sake, simple math's sake. So obviously, the bigger grant numbers you're talking, the more we're on the hook for. So 25, a 4-to-1 match is not the best in the world, but I understand the concept, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to create this collaboration across the state and get more buy-in from industry and education and public, figures and so forth.
This collaboration will generate a lot more economic development.
Exactly. That's the thought process. The more folks we get involved in this, the more impact we make across the state. So.
But the other clarification there is that 4-to-1 ratio, but they're also, you're using grant funding to make that match.
Right, correct.
It's eligible. It's not.
Right.
It's not
correct.
like some things where you're basically can't use that grant to match somebody else's grant. In this case.
In this case, you're able to.
We're using, ARP funds, for example, or is basically for all intents and purposes a grant.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're taking that funding and capitalizing it into. It's a little different scenario than the 90-10.
Exactly.
Where you look compared to the wastewater project, where we had to bring funds from user fees that
correct.
we wouldn't be able to use other grant funding to match that,
Right.
for example. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of stipulations as you get into
Yeah.
grants and the different kinds of grants that are out there. And of course, make no mistake, I've only been hitting on the economic development part of it and what we're trying to do for our workforce, existing workforce and future workforce. I've not even really touched on DECA and Apache and K.I.S.S. I don't know if you guys caught this. Jim Baldridge, is anybody familiar with that name?
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody heard that?
Channel 7.
Yeah, have you
Yeah.
heard that yet?
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed in my wife. I love you, honey. But she knew about it before I did. She didn't say anything about it. I didn't even know about it until Brian Bousman sent me, because Brian Bousman had worked behind the scenes and put stuff together for the 50th celebration of K.I.S.S. And because we're wanting to do a function over here in November during the first basketball game of the season. And he sent me that, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's too cool. I have no idea how he got in the loop. I don't know if Brian's got a connection there, because Brian's got all kinds of
The original news desk was a retired news desk from WHIO Channel 7.
Oh my goodness, well then there's the connection.
That's the connection.
That's awesome. So, but that's a big thing too. I mean, that's really starting to take legs, and we're getting a lot of feedback from K.I.S.S. alumni, Union City alumni that were in K.I.S.S. That are sending in stories regarding K.I.S.S. and wanting to take part in this over here. So it's just, there's a lot of great things out of those programs as well.
Can you touch on the totals that have already been raised towards that 1.6 million?
Yes, the 2 million even is what we're needing.
Yes, yeah.
1.6 is what we're
Well, we
needing
need to get to
to
that.
match.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 250 from county. It's let me see here. It's 98 was one rural development loan, and 93 was another one. Let me see here. There was 348 is in process with RD. And then, of course, if you add in the 341 we're needing to raise from a private partnership. And we've got, keep in mind, we've got two years to raise the 341 too. And what we've done is we pilfered, because they gave it to us to use, we pilfered Ivy Tech's fundraising technique, and we also got insight to this from John Jay Center, which John Jay Center, Bill mentioned collaborating with them. John Jay Center, what you may not know is, if you ever get a chance, go up to the John Jay Center. It's a giant block building. As soon as you get into Portland on the right-hand side, walk in there, ask for Rusty Inman, and tell him the mayor sent you, and you would like to see the bottom floor. It is an impressive basement-filled space of every manufacturing piece of equipment you can possibly imagine. It's all the technical skill training. One thing they shared with me, and I'm not trying to throw a county under the bus, but I'm going to be transparent. They collaborate with 11 counties in providing hard skill training for 11 different counties. What we're working on is more soft skill training, accounting and different leadership courses and so forth that we're teaming with Vision or Ivy Tech. But we're collaborating with John Jay Center in Portland, because what we're trying to do is make sure every skill set under God's blue sky on God's green earth is available between here and Portland. They service 11 counties surrounding Jay County. Everything around them except Randolph County. Yeah, that's the expression I had. When we were on tour with them, he shared that with us, Rusty Inman, the director, and he shared that with us, and I was like, well, why not Randolph County? And he goes, well, we made the pitch to them, and this has been some time ago, so that's not to cast anything on current leadership, because I had no idea who he was presenting to. I just know the leadership he presented to at the time. They were like, thanks, but no thanks. And that was disheartening, because they deal with Delaware County, they deal with Mercer County, they deal with Adams County, they deal with Grant County, they deal with, all these surrounding counties, everybody but us. And I have a problem with that, because we've got this, thing in our backyard, almost literally, that could provide tons of valuable training to. So he's been very forthright with us and very, very open to working with us. Of course, I'm sorry, I digress. We met with them though too, and one of the ways they help fund their building was they have sponsorships of every room, as does Ivy Tech. So that's what we're setting up. We're doing sponsorships of the entrance to the to Vision Corner, all the different classrooms, the studio, you name it. For X amount of thousands of dollars, you can. And I've already had discussions with Ohio Valley Gas. They have interest. So does Frank Miller. And then we're having, again, our very first discussion, our very first official pitch is Wednesday night. So that's 341, and then, sorry, so if we combine the 250 from us, and I know I'm missing a couple things here.
I was gonna say, it's only 1.38.
Yeah, so we're still comparing that, and I can't think, I don't have the spreadsheet from me, I apologize. But we are there because we had to present the ready, so we had it all on the spreadsheet. So,
You count the money from the school, the 200 grand from the school.
I did not. That's what it was.
That's it.
It's the money from the school. So that was the other part of this equation. Sorry. Thank you. I knew I was missing
Do
something.
you remember how much, roughly?
Theirs was 250, just like ours, I
Yeah.
think.
And Ivy Tech hasn't committed to anything. At this
They haven't
point.
committed any dollars, and they know that's going to be part of the equation. What I'm looking more from them would be ongoing fees for use of the classroom space and all that. So I mean that goes into sustainment of the building going forward. This is just to get everything done and make it the shining star that it can be for the community. So.
Are there any talks or conversations about further educational opportunities other than existing workforce, but have this as a satellite location for somebody that wants to go back to school for being a nurse or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had CMA was a big one. Trying to think. Oh, you've hit on which you don't have any traction with it yet, but from the EMS training, correct?
We're potentially gaining traction with that too through a partnership with Reed Health
Okay,
Cool.
excellent.
and Ivy Tech. So there's
Excellent.
a legitimate possibility that this technology could, in theory, allow them to teach here,
Fantastic.
saving us trips back and forth to Richmond as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I had similar questions. So that technology that you were talking about before, would that be Ivy Tech technology that would be utilized, or would it be technology that could be used with other universities and colleges? Like, for example, like Indiana Wesleyan, they oftentimes have cohort group, learning.
It's my
programs.
understanding from working with Superintendent Black is we would be putting the technology in the space, so in theory it could be
Be ours
used
to
with
control.
any university.
That'd be great.
And Indiana Wesleyan was one that we have also mentioned and talked about engaging them in a collaborative effort, so.
I think a space like that would be great for
Oh, yeah.
a cohort group, working on their MBA or something like, a
Yep.
teacher group that's, working on a certification of some sort or master's degree, that would be perfect.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, the possibilities really are endless.
Yeah.
And this has helped in our discussions too, like when we met with the chiefs at Workforce, they were impressed with this because, I'll be honest, the perception is, I think when you go into a small community, is that they don't know anything and they don't have anything. And it's not fair. It's not even fair for them it's not even fair to put that accusation on them. I'm just saying, by the things that we were told, there was concern that there was a glaring missing part of what they were looking for. And that goes beyond housing. That's a whole nother matter. But just from the workforce offerings, in terms of what the skill sets that we can provide. And that's not always a fair assessment. But at the same time, it's also a stark reminder of what we need to be thinking about and working on to improve. I think we all fall in a trap as humans is thinking we're good enough. Well, in the eyes of God, yes, that's absolutely yes. I mean, he loves you as you are. He's always got bigger plans for you, though. I mean, God's love is a perfecting love, not a pampering love. So he always wants, his vision for us is like our vision of our kids. We always want the biggest, best thing for our kids. So I mean, there's a danger of being complacent with where we are in life in terms of a skill set, I think, and we don't realize sometimes what we don't know and the things that we could improve upon. Because I tell you what, industry is changing at breakneck speed. The technology they're using, the kind of personnel they're looking for, leadership personnel, they're looking for people to step up. we have those people in this community. And we have people in this community that have those skill sets that don't even realize yet. We got to help them uncover it, and develop it. So.
I don't know if you know this answer. Has any of the other schools in the county been approached to be a part of this?
From a K.I.S.S perspective, yes. No other perspective. Correct.
I could see that being a potential avenue as well. Is Ivy Tech? You can't get to Richmond or Ball State or Indiana Wesleyan. You can't get there, but you can make it to Union City. You could potentially do additional classes.
It's a great point. Absolutely.
I see it not only as an asset for our town of Union City, but Dark County all the way to Greenville.
Yep. For recovery.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't want to get too far ahead of it, but I see possibilities at some point too for if you get those collaborations as satellite centers around within the county, maybe outside the county, maybe Dark County or so, but where you can just start spreading this out and spreading the concept, because
you're right in line with what Chancellor McCollum said when we met.
Yeah.
He was the same, but he wants to see this type of setup in small communities throughout.
Yeah.
And that was what, if anybody caught too, I was like, for other communities, or I didn't want anybody in here to think, oh, are we giving money or something? No. It's just merely helping them with the process and what we've established and how to duplicate that in other communities. That was the collaborative statement he was trying to make in terms of supporting other areas, other counties. But yeah, you're dead on.
And when you look at other counties, the collaboration with, these in terms of job training and skills for betterment there, we start looking regionally, and you might say, well, you're training people from other areas that aren't necessarily going to work in your area, but the whole region, as the whole region builds, it builds us also. So
exactly.
So we can take a more, and that's what we've talked about this for years.
Yes.
In terms of operating regionally, and this is probably one of the best things that the best opportunities we've had. That was something that Mayor Conklin pushed on us. Was hammering on all the time is operating regionally.
Yep.
And we're seeing the tools to do it.
Yeah, exactly. We're finally catching up to that, so it's exciting actually.
Yeah, I don't think Chad and I have the luxury of being around long enough to see all these things that we talked about 10 or 10, 12, 13 years ago. We're seeing them start to happen, and I'll be the first to admit that I'm guilty of not being able to see the abstract in it all the time, but it's great to see it coming. Coming to fruition.
Like anything else in life, it does take a leap of faith.
Absolutely.
Trust me, I remember when we sat in the community room over there and had our council meeting when I made the pitch for the building. And I remember thinking, trust me, I was nervous because I had an idea of what could be done, but I didn't have all the answers.
Yeah.
But I thank God that you guys saw the possibilities, because we wouldn't have the #1 ranked project in the region if you guys hadn't bought into this. Seriously, you guys saw the possibility. You guys saw the opportunity and hammered away at it and said, yes, let's try this. And if you hadn't done this, we wouldn't be at this point. We wouldn't be at this point, and this money would be going somewhere else.
All right, I've got 2 questions because I feel like people would want to ask these.
Absolutely.
The first one is, I definitely agree with the project. I'm just curious, what happens if we don't hit the 340,000 that is in process, and if we miss the private equity goal?
That's well, I guess what if I don't know what the worst case scenario. I don't know what the ramifications are from the ready police, if you will. I know this: we're not going to miss it.
Okay.
We're not going to miss it because I'm going to continue to apply for grant. Would you believe we've got a $50,000 T-Mobile grant out there that I didn't even throw in here? Yes, T-Mobile because this project fits what the T-Mobile grant was all about. My nephew turned me on to it. He works for T-Mobile. He said, "Hey, you've got to apply for this," because he knew about Vision Corner.
We have a tremendous amount of other avenues to continue.
Yeah,
working.
yeah, we're not going to stop that,
There
right?
is
So
no finish line in this project.
we'll make up the 341 in grants.
This
even before
isn't
private donors.
hard stop. There's other
Right.
avenues that we'll keep going down.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. And we have to, because I don't want us to stop thinking and growing and dreaming. I want this to just be step one. Seriously. Because my challenge, in March 11th, I go in and speak to the kindergartners through second graders. I spoke to the 3rd through 6th before. I'm challenging these kids to think big and to dream big. Where in life did it become okay to stop dreaming and thinking and planning and hoping? You know, we truly, and I don't mean to step on a soapbox here, we are our own worst enemies. If we don't accomplish great things in this community, that's on us. Don't tell me that things aren't possible. Because all the things that we see in this room come from people that were born into this world the same way we were, and they're going to leave this earth the same way we do. They're nothing different. They're not extraterrestrials. They're not born with most of them weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth. And look up some of your biggest inventors. A lot of them come from nothing.
You could look that up, what was actually found in Union City. You can go in.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Your dad knows. Union City, yeah. Postal digger, yeah. All kinds of things that just people, everyday run-of-the-mill folks, put their pants on just like we do. Love a good laugh, love to be loved, love a good meal. They've done amazing things. And there's not a single kid in our school right now that's not capable of the exact same thing. We should want our kids producing exponentially more than we ever imagined. But if we don't take steps like this and show them what's possible, we're not giving them really much to dream and hope for. Because all they see is adults that have checked out. This is as good. Boy, I wish you could be here back in the good old days. We had all these factories and all these jobs. Like, there's not 1,000 communities, even in the state of Indiana, could say that. Have you been through Pennville? Have you been through Ridgeville? Have you been through all these Saratoga? That's not knocking those communities. Those people are wonderful people, wonderful communities. But they're in hard times too.
Yeah.
We're just going to accept that, or are we going to do something about it?
I move that we.
I have one more question before we.
Sure.
I noticed that we have been spending money though on Vision Corner, and I'm wondering if what we're getting from ARP funds when you do your motion and other sources, is that gonna replenish what we've spent, or is it an addition?
What we spend is strictly out of the Vision Corner Fund. So it's from the $250,000 from the county, it's from the $98,000 from local development. Yeah, it's from these grants that
Okay.
My understanding is the city has not put any
We've
money
not-
into that building
We've not been
except
spending any
the
money.
legalese paperwork to own it.
The only money we spent was the very beginning, the matching grant to purchase.
Yeah.
So everything else has been from the funds that we've raised.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that's
We
the
really
goal.
Yeah,
That's
we really don't have that much Union City money, and
No,
very,
we
very
don't.
little Union City.
We don't. And I put more money into it. Well, because what I'm trying to do is use our money to get other projects done around it. Because I want to raise all the boats.
We are right here putting a fair amount of money into this.
Yeah,
Because
you're right.
regardless
Yeah,
of
because
the-
the ARPA money, yeah.
Every dime we spend has origin somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because it's out of this fund doesn't mean it's not our money. 'Cause-
Good point.
So it's our money.
I'm hoping
That's a
that the
good point.
biggest chunk of change that we put into this project, and I say we, I mean we as a community, not as a city, not city coffers, will be from the donors that we have, our local industry, because Workhorse has great interest in this project as well. We've talked with Sal and Ryan about this extensively, obviously, as I alluded to earlier, and they have tremendous interest in this, and they want to be a part of it. That was according to the CEO the night we met at the depot and presented this. So yeah, we will absolutely meet this in ways that helps the city be stronger without dipping into our coffers.
Awesome.
I want to add one thing. Maybe this is just stating the obvious, but one of the things that is a little unique about this to me is that we're we're hitting a lot of different bases, and we're hitting, you know, hard skill training or skilled training that are specific, you know, job specific training, some general stuff. But then when you look at K.I.S.S and Apache, while there's potential for some people to take a career course with those. If you talk to any people that have been through those programs in the past in Union City, they're character builders. They're somebody that's been through Apache might at some point in time start a business that some of their business experience with Apache comes out there. The K.I.S.S program makes somebody that would be a terrible public speaker able to speak in public. And you know, just, and I'm a terrible public speaker, but we had a radio TV program that didn't have any credit or anything at Muncie Central when I was in school, and we did our basic production was the announcements, and we did it as a news production. And I took we did it on a school service period time that you didn't get any credit for. I think we got a quarter credit or something. It was useless. But I spent all my time in either behind a camera or in a director's seat or something like that until finally they made me do the news. and I did it, and I was very timid when I was young, and that experience is gave me just enough confidence to be able to do things like be a city councilor.
There you go. That's awesome.
And so we're mixing all of this.
Yeah, we are.
So there's something here for everybody.
There is. Well, and that's the hope. Because I know one thing that I've had to hear for years on city council is sometimes we do things and with the best interests or best intentions at heart, but still it's like it only addresses a segment of the population. And it's like, why don't you do that for them? Why don't you, anybody and everybody in this community. And I don't care if you're in grade school or 93 and you want to, develop a skill set to help, this is available, and so it's for the community. It really is. It's a community project through and through. So, appreciate you sharing.
Any other questions on there before I move that we move over, award, transfer $250,000 of ARP funds to the Vision Corner project.
We have a first, we have a second.
I'll second.
Jan, would you roll call vote, please?
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Nathan Conklin,
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Peter Frias.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Wastewater plant project change order. I believe you guys have that. And would you like to speak to this, Rob?
Yeah, okay. Mark Sullivan came today and met with Monty and Brad and myself, and then came to the Board of Works meeting. And there's really two separate things here. The first one, I think you have the paper that's called the Amendment to Owner-Engineer Agreement, Amendment number 2. So Mark has put in something to get back some of the extra engineering costs. They've done a lot of engineering costs associated with these extra change orders that we've done. Like, he hasn't charged yet any engineering fee. That's what these additional charges are for. That comes out of the grant, right? Jan, okay. So that was part of it. And any financial questions, Jan had a phone conversation with Mark, and she knows all the details about any financial questions. And so the basic thing that I'm going to do is just explain briefly what these, there's a page here, I think it's the second to the last page. In the front of it looks like this, change order number 10. And the second to the last page looks like this with James Jackson. And it has a list of 11 items on here. Okay, the first 2 items have to do with a drainage issue that I'm having because of where the RBCs were demolished, and then all that ground, it slopes towards
my digesters, and we're taking on several feet in a heavy rain. I can take on feet of water in my digesters. So right now we have it sandbagged as a very, very temporary solution. So those first 2 items on the list are to address that drainage issue. The third issue is also a drainage area around some catch basins by the lower and upper garage that is holding water constantly, and we can't get a mower in there, equipment gets stuck. Number 4 has been struck out because I had asked, if you remember our flood issue that we had out there, I had asked for flood barriers to be installed on the building that flooded with all my pumps, transfer pumps in it. And when I saw that price, it's just unbelievable, $46,000 for doors. So these were just flood barriers up this high. So we're going to rethink that. Brad's got a few ideas. I might get with B&M Steel. We'll think of something to prevent flooding in that building in the event that I lose a control panel, my pumps go down, power goes completely out. So that building now sits in a hole, and I'm very susceptible. That happened in May, I think, and I just last week got my last transfer pump back. It took that long to rebuild 4 pumps because they can only do 1 at a time because I can't be down more than 1 pump at a time.
With all of the rain that we got, was it 2-3 weeks ago, and the snow melt, did you have issues of flooding?
I did not.
Okay.
I mean, there's a few little areas around there that I was having issues with, but no major flooding there.
Good.
So.
There was a lot of water that I saw everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was
I mean, the plant got hit very hard. Okay, so we're going to come up with something else. I'm not done. I want something there. If I ever walk into that scenario again, I want to be prepared way better than I was that night. Okay, install a duckbill check valve. That was a catch basin we put in out to the river, and so it doesn't flood back underneath the berm into the plant. Stone Drive south of the EQ tank, there's a manhole there that I need to be able to dump outside septage, like Barnes is wanting to dump there and stuff, and I need a drive to get to that manhole because right now it's all grass and very soft material there. Stone north of the drying bed, it's a complete mud hole there. I want to eventually try, and I've talked to Brad, talked to Steve, we want to try to eventually pave some of that, if not all of it. Might have to do it in sections for my budget to be able to handle it, but it's just a huge mess there, and it's tracking everywhere, and it's hard to run the equipment over when the ground freezes. That skid loader, it just knocks all the material out of your bucket as you're going to the dumpsters. Rework a trap on a water softener. When we decant our digesters, the force of the water is sucking the water out of the trap in the new water softener drain in the admin building, and all that sewer gas comes into the building. It took me forever to figure out what that was. Finally, I just
sewer
put
gas
one of
problem
these.
at a wastewater plant.
Yeah, I know. It should not smell. Yeah. It should not smell if I'm doing my job right. Okay, a push camera. You all know about the lateral inspection program. We have, I think that's been in place probably about 4 to 5 years. We've almost completely wore out one push camera already. So, which is good because sometimes you buy equipment and then for whatever reason it doesn't really work out. We've used it tremendously. So I've asked for that because that's something that's going to have to come out of my regular budget, operational budget, if we don't do that. So I've had it repaired like 3 times recently, and it's just kind of hanging on by a thread. We're not going to get rid of that. It'd be a great backup camera when our main one needs to go for service. I plan on positioning that at the street department. Brad's always calling for a camera, and that way we'll have one at both ends of town, and we'll be able to, sometimes contractors kind of, that might be a good loaner, you know, just for a few hours or whatever, because that sometimes takes pressure off of us.
Yeah.
If we could just leave a backup camera with them and say, when you dig that, just put the camera in and see what you see.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is a meter that we run several of our tests on in the lab. Ours has got a lot of age on it, starting to give me some warnings about needing maintenance. I don't have a backup. So that's also something that would have to come out of my operating budget. And all of this is coming from grant money that is left over from the project. Thanks to Jackson and them coming in $900,000 below anybody else. So is there any other questions about, other than financial for me, about what kind of work this is?
I'll just kind of clarify one thing you said, that when he talked about possible loaner with contractors, it's not as open as what Rob says, because we have some contractors that they work with very frequently that work hand in hand with them that are already adept at operating that equipment. So it's not like they're going to give it to some contractor and he's going to never seen it before and he's going to get it stuck or anything.
No.
The contractors they're working with are very capable of that. So.
And it's to take the need for me to have a guy on the site.
So it
right
saves you
then.
some personnel time. Yes.
Right. So. And it's a backup camera.
It's a backup.
Yeah,
but particularly those guys are the people he's talking about are very capable.
Yeah, and it's for laterals that we're dealing with lateral inspections and that kind of thing. Okay, is there any other questions? Any questions about the financial end? Jan is a master at it and knows every detail.
And you said this is the last change order, but not necessarily the last change order?
Somebody referred to it as the last change order. I didn't. It's grant money and it's still there. And I still have a few issues out there. So we're calling it change order 10.
Well, we might as well take advantage of it.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's
Can
what
we write
everybody.
a $250,000 check out of that and potentially put it
Yeah.
towards division court?
I was thinking of that. Like, because it's RD money.
Yeah.
So can we transfer that
Shift it over.
to that?
And
If only it worked like that.
And that's the stress once again to everybody listening. This is money that was granted to us that will go back.
Yep.
It will not have an effect on what we pay back in loans by
Right.
spending this at all.
Use it or lose
It will
it.
actually be it's a positive effect for us to spend it because it's money we don't have to spend out of our own budgets.
Correct.
This is Jackson. This is really, it really is because of Jackson.
It's because of
sharpening the
Jackson,
pencil
absolutely.
on this.
That's good.
Jackson came under so low, under budget, it scared us, number one. Number two, the engineer gave them every opportunity to back out because he was afraid they missed something. And they went back and said, we've gone over it and over it, and we think, but they run a very tight ship.
Yeah, they're not
Very tight. So, that really, thanks to Jackson, that we were able to get a skid loader, all these things extra.
I remember a story from one of the companies that did bid on the plant that there was a tale about a piece of equipment that they left at a facility for what, a year or so,
Over a year.
and didn't miss it, didn't realize they had, and the municipality finally called, are you going to come pick up your piece
Oh,
of
my
equipment? They
goodness.
forgot they left it there.
Oh, man.
And
And they said the guy told me that's all over the place.
Yes.
Like all over the
so
state. They have
so
equipment.
sometimes
Wow.
those big companies get a little wasteful and
Yeah.
you know.
And Mark Our Studebaker would bring his lunchbox on certain days and get in that crane. He's a certified crane operator and operate that crane, the president of the company.
That's awesome.
And yeah, very impressed with those guys. If we ever need, if we ever have something done, please let them know about it so they can bid on it.
Absolutely.
Do we need to put a $250,000 new lateral in?
Yeah, septic work.
New lateral?
There you go. Well, I would, if there are no questions, I would certainly entertain a motion for approval of the change order as presented.
I'll move we approve change order 10. I believe the sum is $141,783.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Nathan Conklin.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Peter Frias.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Rob. Great work.
You're welcome.
All right.
I need
yes.
approval for the amendment to the owner engineering agreement.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we also need approval of the amendment to the owner engineering agreement, which you guys all have a copy of that as well, correct?
Missed it. I had it somewhere.
It should be there. That's what Rob was talking about at first.
There it is.
2 pages stapled together.
Oh, I bet. I had 2 of them, so I bet it's yours.
Okay.
I move that we approve amendment to owner engineer agreement, amendment number 2, as of this date, 2/28/2022.
So we have a first, and we have a second.
I'll second.
in additional.
Was that Brandon?
That was Brandon, correct. Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Nathan Conklin.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Peter Frias.
Yes.
There we go. All right, so, move on, did you want?
You're good.
Okay. Resolution 2022-R-02, which is a resolution approving the residential housing plan. Good golly, Miss Molly, if you just read the title of this thing, it sounds like politics at its finest. Basically, all this is in a nutshell, this is approving, it's the formality, if you will, of approving the area out there for the Plum Street addition, which had to go through, well, the resolution itself, it kind of sums up as wordy as it is. It's a resolution of the Union City Council approving an amending declaratory resolution and plan of the Union City Redevelopment Commission and order of the Randolph County Area Plan Commission in connection with an enlarged economic development area adoption of an economic development plan addendum, approval of a housing program, and approval of an allocation area for residential housing program. Holy smokes. If anybody knows what I just said, they're smarter than I am.
Pay the price for the permit and you're all right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but again, this is again formality for us having the land out there for the housing project on Plum Street, which had to go before the zoning board, which Bob, you are a part of, and that did approve. I think it passed unanimously, did it not?
I think there was one nay.
Was this from the other night?
Mm-hmm.
I missed the nay.
Did we get?
Who was the
Did they have a reason for the?
It was you? No. I'm teasing.
Clarification or reasoning behind the name?
Did you catch the nay?
I didn't hear the name.
I didn't either. Okay.
I could have swore there was.
Okay. I didn't catch it.
I don't really want to go into.
Well, no.
I can check on it though, and I'll let you know.
Okay. Appreciate that. Because neither Steve or I heard anything.
I'm almost positive there was.
Gotcha.
I do have a question.
Yes.
And I'm going to read. I wrote out my question. So the Union City Redevelopment Commission's Economic Development Plan Addendum for the Union City Housing Program in Section D, which is the project description. First paragraph, second line says, quote, the construction of 64 residential lots, parenthesis, 61 of which are buildable, end parenthesis, on approximately 51 acres. Question, what does it mean that only 61 of the 64 lots are buildable?
Good, great question. The first 2 lots, which could be built, are actually, we've kept them aside to create an entrance into the housing addition. That is, number one, to establish the fact that it's a new development and you're coming into something special, something new. Number two is also to control the look of the entrance into the development. And then the third lot.
The third lot is in, it's basically an area where the main street of the development heads back towards the north near the wastewater plant. There's a space of ground that's not quite large enough.
Oh, for a home.
For a home.
Okay.
So it's not buildable.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, there you go. So that would be the three lots then.
Good, thank you. And another question just popped into my mind. Where does that awesome wind turbine work into this?
It's not at all in consideration for phase 1 of the development. It would have to be navigated for phase 2. The hope is that at the time we're moving forward with phase 2, the windmill's being deconstructed and removed from the property.
But if it is not deconstructed, there is a contingency plan to build it and still.
Yeah, because you've got to have so much space between the turbine and the home. The litigation were.
That's supposed to.
Yeah, there was a judgment and it's an appeal process.
The schools?
And, yes.
Okay.
And so we're hopeful that concludes here in the next 4 to 6 months.
Decade, you know.
Yeah, no kidding. It feels like that.
I think 4 to 6 months is a little bit of a stretch. I thought when we met with Mr. Black, I thought he was thinking 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, that would be great.
Hope so.
But I know that been to that movie and seen it.
We've been there, done that.
So
I doubt that theirs was quite as complex.
it was a big factor in that whole process.
Was that not part of the settlement or the agreement that they were supposed to take them down? That
It is not.
PMC was.
It's not.
The name of the company, but
Yeah, it's not technically part of the agreement, but they are in violation of the county ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
county ordinance covers that. Should
But from what we've been told, nothing will happen with one until both of them are done with litigation.
right. Okay. Very good.
So everybody send positive vibes to whoever judge is on that.
Yes. So I would entertain a motion for resolution 2022-R-02.
I will move that we adopt resolution 2022-R-02, resolution approving residential housing plan, the Governor Gray edition. I'm not gonna read that.
No, you're fine. We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Nathan Conklin,
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Peter Freeze.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And then now, we have the infrastructure bid approval. Jan, do you have these?
I was gonna say,
I have it.
Okay.
do we have copies though?
Yeah, we should have
I
copies.
did not have the stuff on
Okay,
the
okay.
packet, so.
I was gonna say, unless I missed something, and I was gonna say, you printed this out, so hopefully I'm not missing something.
No.
Okay, good to know. Is
I
it,
have the amounts.
okay,
Everybody got something to write with?
Yep.
yep,
Okay, so from K.I.S.S Consulting, verifying the bid process. We received 2 bids. M&J Excavating. I believe they're from the Eaton, Ohio area. They have check marked per K.I.S.S Consulting all the requirements, met all the requirements. Their total bid base price $1.647211.75 million. So $1.647,211.75.
1,647,211.
They couldn't round
yeah,
that.
Correct.
75. Yep.
A quarter.
Milestone Contractors LP was the second bidder. They too met all the requirements per K.I.S.S Consulting. Their bid $1.8872 265.35.
Do we have any explanation why the major contractors in Winchester, Indiana did not quote this?
We do not. They picked up a packet and they did not submit anything back. When we met with Dave K.I.S.S Friday afternoon, he believed that they were submitting a bid back, but at 4 o'clock, we only had 2.
You'd think that we would have local bids, but, okay.
Well, I guess if there's a silver lining to it, if they'd been a higher bid, it prevents us from having the uncomfortable moment of going with someone else because they're the lower bidder.
Yeah.
And not the,
I just know that the owners of several of those companies live locally, and you would think they would want to help local communities.
True. I have no idea what's on their plate right now, so that might be a factor.
That's, I say one thing, it might be a factor, they might have won bids in the meantime.
Right.
That prevented them to meet the time schedule. That's just a wild guess, but.
So basically, we're just needing the acceptance of the preferred bid, which considering they both met their criteria as established by the engineering firm, would be the low bidder, would be the
M&J.
seemingly optimal bid.
So, were there other bids? They just didn't quite meet our requirements, or what's the?
There was 3 bids requested by 3 different contractors. We received 2 back. They both met the requirements of the bidding process, and MJ Excavating was the low bidder.
That is one of the potential reasons for this is the fact that, and this was foreseen as a concern, if you will, when the funds started becoming plentiful in the country, a lot more projects are getting done. Well, that's a good thing, but because a lot more projects are getting done, there's a lot less available resources and or people to do those projects. And so I think we're starting to see the outcome of all these things that are going on. I mean, there's a lot of projects going on out there because of ARP funds and funds that are available. And so engineering companies and construction companies are hard to come by. You know, Steve I admire this man just tremendously because he has been bringing in oil in keeping contractors, trying to find contractors locally for stuff that we've done here locally. And that's been an arduous pursuit because everybody's so busy. So that's only my guess, my speculation as to why we didn't receive more bids.
Absolutely nothing we could have done about the timeline because we pushed this thing along far faster than normally these things would go. But probably if we would have been in the bidding stages in November or December or November or so, we might have had a little different situation on that. But at the same time, when you look at the proximity of these 2 bids, it's not. At least it's fairly comfortable looking at them that they're within a reasonable percentage. That's not one way out of line with another. So.
Right. Yeah. Correct. Well, if there's no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
What's the next steps on regards to time frame? If we accept the bid, does that mean we're in contract? Does that mean?
Yeah, what K.I.S.S Consulting's suggesting is that if we choose to move forward and accept the contractor, then they would recommend that we schedule a meeting to basically draw up the documents to enter into an agreement with MJ Excavating. So I would probably start that conversation tomorrow. I know we have a meeting with Heidi tomorrow morning for the TIF, so theoretically the quicker we put a shovel in the ground, the quicker this housing development gets built. And I know that and this is a simple evaluation, but I believe everybody involved in this process is ready to start going to work. So I would suggest that we keep moving it as fast as we can along the path.
Yeah, because I've had a very well-respected realtor tell us that he suspects we're in a 2-year window right now with our housing push. That after 2 years, it's gonna be a different ballgame. You know, you can't keep a house on the market for 5 minutes nowadays.
Yeah, different ballgame, not good or bad. He can't forecast anything.
Right, yeah, exactly, true. But it's just, he doesn't expect this to continue. Where, you hear these stories like, oh, I put my house on the market, I had 46 bids. It's insane.
And that's still
That's
going
not
on
gonna
now.
continue forever.
No, that's still going on.
Yeah, it's still going on,
Still
yeah.
going on.
But we need to take advantage of that window.
There's starting to be some softness in that.
Yeah, true.
And because of inflation, there's probably some push to increase interest rates, which would
Correct.
cut down.
Correct.
So,
Could have
that's
an
another
impact.
thing, so.
But then you go back to, the workforce expansion, on the west end of town, and with what we know is coming, and we're not going to be able to capture any of that if we don't have any available housing.
Exactly.
So
That's still a good thing.
Ultimately, this is phase 1 of potentially 3. It would be
Correct.
22 properties, and if we did the 22 properties, that's a good indication that it was needed. If the 22 properties were sold,
right.
and I'm under the understanding / impression that we've got 3 or 4 people locally that already are interested.
Correct.
So
Do we have that we can circulate with citizens? The pamphlets of what the homes look like, housing plans,
Yes.
that type of thing. I don't know. Online
Yeah, in
links.
fact, the homes. Did I share? I think I've shared previously the models of the homes with you guys. I believe.
I know I've seen them. I don't know if everybody else has.
Okay.
I
We
I've seen
will
them at one point, but I don't remember what they look like.
We
what
will
price
have
points they were
have
at.
something put together because now that we're getting serious in improving the infrastructure and can get the dirt turning.
The builder has a complete marketing package with floor plans and all that stuff. We're not ready yet.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have that available, and not only in brochures but online especially. So that way, because our objective is to get people from well outside the area coming in here.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
We'll have some people in Union City that want to sell and buy, but we want to bring in new families. So
And ultimately, I think it's best from our perspective that we're allowing the builder and their team to be doing the marketing and
Yes,
selling of
yeah,
the homes, and I
absolutely.
think we need to allow them to do that.
Yeah.
'Cause they're
you have questions,
professional
we're going to
at
direct
it,
you to them.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
Other than the infrastructure, the city has no hand in this other than a
Right.
conversation,
Yeah, because that
keeping it rolling.
correct.
Yeah.
Other than cost,
Mhm.
are there other technical or location or whatever other aspects of these two bids that would indicate that, one over the other?
Oh, you mean in terms of like maybe there's certain things one engineer was bringing to the table that the other, or contractor was bringing to the
Yeah.
table? Thank goodness no. Great question, but that's why we had the engineering firm, K.I.S.S Consulting, evaluating these, because to make sure that there wasn't something glaring that was missing that one company was doing and not the other. Both of them and anybody else that would have submitted has to check every box. You have to have this. You have to do this here with piping, and you have to do, all the different things that you have to do for infrastructure. They had to meet those. No ifs, ands, or buts. So that's why he evaluated those for us to make sure we weren't missing something.
yeah, and just to be clear, we had Moat and Associates do the layout, turn those plans over to a third party to evaluate and produce the bid process. They evaluated the bid process, so we didn't pick just one third party company to help us navigate this, because we've never done this before, so we have lots of questions. So we've involved as many working partners as we possibly could have involved.
Along with having the attorney that
Yep.
did this, there's only been 2 done in the state, Russell Brown, and he's on our side helping us guide through this process as well, along with Heidi and their group at, I don't know, it's
Baker
changed.
Tilly.
Baker Tilly, I was like, they changed name. So I 100% will move this forward, but I don't want to be the one to move it forward because I want to make sure the rest of council and the rest of, basically you're speaking on behalf of the rest of the community. If there's not we need to address the issues and find out what it is now before we get really involved in this.
I don't know. I think we've been talking about this for a while. People have people who, you know, are watching us online and whatever, and, you know, they could have reached out. No one's reached out to me to say anything negative about this. I've only heard positive things.
I think this is how a community moves forward.
So is that a motion, Tito?
I move that we accept the bid from M&J Associates? Excavating, sorry.
No, you're
My
good.
chicken scratch. For $1,647,211.
Trust me, I got a crack on the 75 cents.
I'll pay the
I'm like, that was
75
part of the
myself.
bid.
The other one's 35.
They round that up, or round that down or something.
I was like, man, you talk about thorough. We have a
Somebody
first, do we have a
extra
second?
candy bar.
I'll second.
Brandon?
Okay, Brandon. Jan, would you please do a roll call vote?
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Nathan Coughlin,
Yes, again and
Tim
again.
Heiss,
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
All right. And resolution 20, and Jan, would you mind chipping in on this one? You were explaining this to me. Resolution 2022-R-03, which is the allocation of the cable franchise funds, because this is something that you guys had just voted on.
Yeah, last fall, we voted to take the franchise fees and transfer them over to, it was then Midwest TV. We did not pass a resolution. I just felt it was something that really should have a resolution and not just moving to do it. And plus, it's changed from Midwest TV to Vision Corner now, so that's why I'm bringing a resolution. It's nothing different than you've already done, it's just reiterating it, I guess.
Is this something that the resolution will resolve it so we don't have to do it year after year? Or
Exactly,
okay.
So I'm confused about one thing. The grant monies that we're getting and the different the ARP funds that we just voted on. That's the city, right? Doing
Yeah,
the
that goes in the
outlays.
Vision Corner Fund, correct, good question. That's the Vision Corner Fund that goes under this, that's a fund in the city budget.
Right.
So that's where all those funds go into. This, Midwest TV is the 501c3
Okay.
that helps spearhead Vision Corner. Because it's a 501c3 that's pivotal, because when I talked about raising funds, like private funds, it goes through that entity, it goes through the 501c3.
And what is their role in this? I mean,
It's basically just to help oversee the project and be the 501c3 that the project needs. That really is all it is. It's a funnel for, because when somebody gives to something, it helps when it's tax deductible. And so it's a not-for-profit, which Vision Corner is. Now, they will oversee the board. My hope is there'll be an executive director position at that facility. There's an executive director at John Jay Center. Rusty Inman is the executive director. The executive director, just like here, I report to you guys in the city, the executive director would report to the Vision Corner board. So he or she would have somebody to report to. That person's responsibility would be the oversight of the facility to ensure everything is filled, to ensure classrooms are being utilized, to ensure that we continue to branch out and grow, and also to ensure fundraising continues. Because in the fundraising stipulations, we want everything named in there, sponsored, everything sponsored. Well, it's set up in the guidelines of the fundraising that can change from time to time. If somebody passes away, they've only paid so much money for while they're here, or God forbid, if somebody does something that tarnishes their name and we have to pull that name away, and then we have to go and apply for another name for a sponsorship. Whatever the case would be, the executive director would help steer that ship. And again, that person would have to report to a board. It wouldn't be a city position. It would be under Vision Corner. And so,
In that, because there's gonna be a budget created.
correct.
That's the whole thing from maintenance to, general operation to maintenance to long-term
Correct.
maintenance and so forth.
Yeah, and the idea is, again, Nate's question when I first made the pitch for the building is, we're not gonna own this long-term, right? I said, no, and that's still the design. We own it now to facilitate getting the building done, but then we want to turn it over to, an Ivy Tech or Vision Corner, the board, or whoever that may be, so that they would run the facility and it would be off of our plates.
So it's for the management and operation?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, Mark?
You might note that the K.I.S.S TV, that franchise belongs to the city. The city signs a contract with Vision Corner. You signed it with Midwest TV originally, but with Vision. That's where this comes in.
And how much money are we talking about?
This, whatever the franchise fees were, right, Jan? Is it 15 or 20?
20.
It's never run more than 20,000 as I recall.
A year?
Correct. Right. That comes from Spectrum.
And what were we doing with that money before?
Part of it was going to the gentleman that was running helping with the taping of our council meetings.
Oh, okay.
So that's null and void.
Okay.
So it will go in that fund and stay in
So
that
it's
fund.
funds that have been freed up then, and
Yeah, it'll stay in that fund for, hopefully, ideally, the executive director role.
Or
So
buying equipment.
Yeah, or buying
I
equipment.
mean, there's a
or-
lot of different roles it could
Yeah,
potentially go into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But going toward that facility or somebody in that facility that would basically be more in line with what the fees were, I think, kind of designed for from a media perspective.
Well, that went for years and it just went into the general fund.
Right.
And
Well-
some of us complained bitterly about that and got this changed a little bit. And so the city now, and I don't know whether Midwest TV signed a contract with Randolph Eastern now, but the original idea was, but like I say, those systems are given to municipalities.
They keep
didn't
access
go to
fees.
school. It came to Union City, and then Union City has somebody operate it. And in this case, the contract is with Vision Corner. And that's why the money needs to go to Vision Corner. Pardon me, but I feel strongly about this.
Well, and one of the things that was done in the past was that there would be, that it would go into the general fund, and then if there was a need for a camera or a piece of equipment, then the city would often buy that,
Yeah.
but that was inconsistent, and it was just kind of a as needed, so it was hard to track, and there wasn't any specific commitment.
Right.
Whereas taking these funds and doing this, of course, one thing that's kind of interesting is that, we'd watch those funds go down year to year for quite a long time, but now we're seeing some rise in that, and there's potential that they could rise more, especially when you talk about adding a housing development and so forth.
Well,
those
KISS TV becomes more valuable
But those-
every time it expands and
Yeah.
does a better job.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that these will grow.
it's not going to be it's never going to be a huge fund, but it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't
It's
think.
not gonna be a multi-million-dollar deal,
and-
but this money should go to Vision Corner. Just no doubt about it.
Yeah.
As long as there is KISS operations in that building, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
But if the school
Agreed.
pulls that, then
Yeah, then it
This
changes.
is
Well,
one of
that's
those-
a whole
I
different
yeah,
agree.
it's a reevaluation point. That's what I
Completely
wanted to
agree.
make sure. So
Completely agree.
Okay.
works for me.
I would, if there's no other question, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we accept resolution 2022-R-03, allocation of cable franchise funds.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I second.
Jan?
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Lane.
Yes.
Nathan Copeland,
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Stephen Freas.
Yes.
Okay, resolution, another Vision Corner related, resolution authorizing RBDG application submission, resolution number 2022-R-04. This is the resolution of the City Council of Union City, Indiana, authorizing the submittal of the Rural Business Development Grant application to the USDA Rural Development and addressing related matters. This is what I spoke on earlier, one of the grants that's in process. So basically, this is just in essence stating you recognize the need to stimulate growth and maintain a sound economy within the corporate limits. The City of Union City has conducted a public meeting prior to this submission of this grant application, hence this USDA Rural Development said public meeting to assess the economic needs of its residents. Now therefore be resolved, and then you go into basically granting me authorization to prepare and submit an application for grant funding, which we do through K.I.S.S Consulting, to address the first floor rehab and basically make sure that we are in compliance with U.S. Rural Development. So again, that's through K.I.S.S Consulting. Any questions? Just what they need for submission. So yeah, would hereby entertain a motion for approval.
For clarification's sake,
yes.
Does this cost money to apply?
No. And you sound like one of my kids. No, wait a second. Actually, you sound like us with our kids.
I'm practicing. I've got a long road of being a parent. So I move that we approve Resolution 2022-R-04, resolution authorizing RBDG application by title only.
Do we have a first? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, one last time.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Was that?
I think that.
Nate and Bob.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Nathan Conklin,
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Freeze.
Yes.
And then Jan, I will turn this last one over to you.
Okay, this last one is checks that have not been cashed, and I want to explain that that does not mean that we owe these people this money necessarily, because the check may have been lost, or we may have reissued the check for one reason or another. So anyway, these are outstanding checks that cannot be cashed out because it's past 2 years anyway. So in order to, I just need approval to add up these checks and delete these checks from the system and add the money back into the fund where they came from. We do this every
I was going to say, we go through this every year.
Yeah.
Any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move we approve the cancellation of warrants and outstanding checks.
Is there a first? Do we have a second?
I second.
Do you want me to do a consensus vote or roll
Yeah.
call? Consensus. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Is that all mine?
Do we have any visitors? Nice try.
Your name was, sorry.
Larry, my sister's name was on it last year.
Yeah, do we have any visitors wishing to address the council?
The only thing I have to do is kind of speaking for the Lions Club. This is our 75th year, and I don't know if you've noticed the 2 signs out here already. Starting to promote an extension of 1 day of State Line Heritage Day to be our 75th program day. And we're working in conjunction with the State Line Heritage Group. We are also trying to do other programs throughout the year. I got with our Lions group and also got with the Optimus group. We're going to start a Adopt a Tree program. Okay, supposedly about, I don't know how many years ago, we got trees for the park, and for some reason they never got planted.
Oh.
Okay, I'll put my name on it right now, unless I'm dead, and then plant me next to the tree that you want to plant.
That organic one that you can be the ball and.
Would you like to for longer than you?
Do I get to hang lights from you?
Anyway. But we are trying to do this, and I wanted to bring it to this council first. I want to go to the Ohio side too, because it doesn't have to be just trees planted at Harder Park. We can have some at Railroad Park, or where the school was down. Get this done through volunteer money, and not from the businesses all the time. It's time for some of us people, $10.
Sure.
Is that all?
$10. Okay, give me $10. We get that from how many people we got on both sides? 3,500?
Well, where's it, yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, Bob, just to clarify, he's not saying $10 for a tree. He's trying to give an example. But yeah, if everybody gave $10, look for $35.
Out of each household, we got enough to plant these trees, okay? I do have a quote for 10 trees of about $3,500. And that's not them planting it, that's us planting it, which I'll get that taken care of, so that's no problem. Just want to know if you folks would be involved in helping us to promote that. It's not gonna cost anybody any money. What we get, we're gonna buy trees. If we don't get it, we don't buy trees. But it's not gonna stop now, it's gonna go on.
And just
Not just 1 year and call it
How
quits.
many trees are you getting? 350
Have you
bucks?
been at the park?
Yeah.
Okay, there used to be about 320 trees out there.
Like this big or like?
Well, we're talking 8-foot trees.
Okay.
At
4
least
inch
2 inch to
okay.
an inch and or inch and 3/4,
Decent
2 inch.
size.
Okay.
Nice trees.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're behind time at the park. There's some trees out there are widowmakers.
Yeah.
They're all bad shape.
Yeah.
And they need cut down, folks, before somebody gets one dropped on them.
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen. It's just when, and I hope I'm not the one that's out there, even though I'm out there a lot.
I hope
So-
the mayor's not there either.
Well, the mayor,
He's out
he's
there.
around more probably than I am. He likes climbing them, I think. But anyway,
His hearing's better than yours, so he can hear him cracking.
yeah, I know when to run.
so anyway, that's some things we got promoting for our 75th year. We're doing a coloring contest for the Union City and the Senegal Valley elementary schools. Matter of fact, Friday we're going to be to both of them. We got from kindergarten, I think, or first graders through third graders or something like that, doing a coloring contest. And we have a Lions, what do I want to call it, costume.
Yeah.
That
Mascot.
Jimmy Levinsky's wife made for us.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, we want to name our lion. And it's not going to be Leo. Okay, so that's what we're planning. We're just trying to get something that everybody knows. This Lions Club in this community is awesome.
Yep.
The Optimist Club used to be here.
Kiwanis.
The
JC's.
yeah. I mean, the Lions Club's still here.
Yep.
I'm a part of it, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I am also the chairman of the, what do I call that, membership. So if any of you guys would like to join, or anybody that's listening right now, please give me a call. I'll get you some paperwork. Join a real good organization. And our people in our group are getting elderly too. We got to start promoting some younger people in our town. If not, when we go, just like this project you got going, who's going to step up?
Yeah. Is it city only, or is it anybody that lives?
Anybody that wants to donate and adopt a tree.
Well, no, I mean the Lions Club. You have to live in the city.
No.
Okay, so you can live
Anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an international organization.
Yeah.
It's whoever, or if you
The
want to
member.
drive 500 miles to go to a meeting on Tuesday night, go ahead. No, it's anybody that can join.
Okay.
And we, in Union City, we meet, I think it's the second, fourth, third, or, yeah, second, fourth Tuesday night.
Yeah.
But we don't meet in 3 months in the summertime, but we do other programs in the summertime. So, but no, that's what we got. Want to know if it was okay with you folks if we do this. We'll get the trees planted, we gotta buy them first, and take some donations. Like I say, $10 a tree, adopt a tree. Of course, your name may be on it, maybe not, but it'll be a tree that's gonna take over for what we got out there because there's not much left.
I'll give you
Okay.
20. 20,
Thank you.
20 towards trees.
Appreciate it.
Poor
Need
Mount
one for
Lions
yourself.
have one.
You guys are cutting them down out there. Think you can just
Technically,
move some of them?
it's on a county ditch.
Oh, okay. No, well, thank you anyway, but that's all I have. Just come forth. This is something 75th year for the Lions Club in.
The sign out here needs change, and this would be a great thing to put on there. Who do we have contact for the tree?
Right now,
If they want to give to.
it's gonna be to the Lions Club, and I'll get a P. I'm trying to get everybody first,
Okay.
then we'll get a P.O. box, that we have,
Okay.
and we can send checks to that. But it is to go back to help our community. We got one great park out here, people. I'm proud of it. And there's trees that's dying. And we gotta plant them now. They don't grow in a day or two. It takes a while. So we're gonna get some planted, and that's just a thing that I've come up with to try to help the community for our 75th year. That's all I have. Thanks, sir.
Lions Club continues to be a huge blessing.
Well,
Beyond.
we're here to serve.
Well, you guys are wonderful, and thanks for your patience. You went the whole meeting to deliver that, so I really appreciate it.
I have nothing to go to tonight.
Well, our date of the next council meeting will be Monday, March 14th.
Wait, one
Yes.
last thing. I believe we won't see somebody at the next council meeting.
I thought Gina told me you were retiring, but I thought maybe it wasn't the case because you were here.
So you guys can do whatever you want to next time.
So is this really your last meeting?
Yeah, this is it.
Oh.
Yeah. You've been
Well,
a good bunch to work with. I appreciate it.
you've been wonderful. Look at the camera if you would, please. This is Bill Richmond. For anybody who may not get to see his face, you get to hear a great voice on radio on 98.3.
Yep.
And he does a wonderful job for us, and he's reported the news for this city for a long time.
Yeah.
And,
Is there a
appreciate it.
replacement?
I've asked them. I don't know because they're looking. That's all.
Okay.
Radio.
Yes. Well, thank you for what you've done.
You're
Done a
welcome.
wonderful job.
Thanks,
Well,
Bill.
thank you for calling that out.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I thought his last meeting was in Winchester last week. I had to text him and be like, "What?"
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, the date of the next council, and you're still welcome to join these meetings because I know you look forward to it. Monday, March 14th at 6 p.m. Same with the Board of Public Works meeting. That will also be that day at 1 p.m. I would hereby entertain. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.